I assume.
She has yet again said she will answer the question about whether or not she's in this, but she will not do it in front of people and she will not do it on camera. The problem is she will not do it off camera either.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Bird 91. We're talking to you guys about Chris and Alyssa. Chris asked her in this section of 4 questions, and she didn't answer them appropriately in any of them. But they were 4 questions with answers for Chris as to what? Pertaining to this relationship. Should you stay or should you go? Should I stay or should I go? He should go. All right? But we're going to discuss that on the rest of the review. If you're new to the channel, do me a favor, like it, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of the uploads. And for those of you who are returnees, you know what it is, baby. You got the minerals. You got the minerals. Stay hydrated because the streets out there are hot. All right. Let's get into the video, but before we do, let's click on the intro.
Little Black Bird, you know what time it is.
Yes, let's click on the intro. We're talking to you guys about, Alyssa and Chris. And one of the craziest things about their connection, sorry, I'm moving my camera so it's a bit more smoother. One of the craziest things about their connection at the moment is the fact that Chris is in a position where he doesn't have a full answer in terms of what's happening between himself and Alyssa. And the trouble with this situation is that Alyssa is failing to answer the question. She's deflecting like Corey from Ready to Love. But when someone deflects consistently like that, that is your answer. Okay, when Charlotte wanted Phil to answer and she didn't get the exact answer she wanted, that is your answer. When someone doesn't answer the question the way that you want them to answer it, that is your answer. There is no need to be stressed and try to figure out what they're saying. That is your answer. We're going to go and play these clips of the questions that were brought up that were really important. Chris put her under pressure with the questions he asked. Very good questions, by the way. Very good questions. It's just that, at the time, he just needs to be able to, be trusting of himself that the answers that he's got from her are real answers and she's not about to concede her power in this relationship. So let's get to the very first clip here. We'll play it from here. It's when he asks this question here. Let's get this going.
I never thought that they were going to match me with somebody that was 1,000% perfect. But I think there's a lot of differences that 2 people wouldn't change on.
Have you brought any of those up to me in your opinion and asked me whether or not I'd be willing to change any of those things?
There's stuff.
That was the first question. That was the first question he asked. Have you brought up any of those concerns to me? Have you brought any of those concerns up to me in terms of what we've spoken about? Have you brought any of those concerns to me? That's number 1. What did she say? Yes. I have brought it up to you. Now let's see what her answer is when he says that question.
Definitely things that, we've talked about and been brought up on differences and things like that.
Like what?
Now, when you apply pressure to like what, he can be confident to know that he has not had any of the answers that she said she brought to him. In fact, Katina actually earlier on in the episode pulled her up for that by saying, have you told him any of these issues or refrains that you have against him? She couldn't give an answer. And again, I think she even said yes, she has. Look, and then she said, are you sure that you've communicated that you don't like him in that way so that he knows? And she said, I think I have. Listen, she hasn't done that. But because this is the first question, all right, and he's asked her a very direct one, here's where the stress starts to kick in for Alyssa. And, let's see what she does. That very hefty pause, body language shift of the head there and the body, she knows she's been caught out. But rather than owning up to her mess, she decides to dig in a little bit deeper. This is the signs of somebody who generally doesn't respect you, but also as somebody who is unable to deal with truth and somebody who potentially that may be emotionally unstable when it comes to dealing with relationships. There is some dysfunction in her life. Now, I'm not going to speculate what it is just yet. I think we need a bit more evidence. Okay, we don't need a bit more evidence. But, for her, we can clearly see this is somebody that wants to lie. This is somebody who will lie to get out of trouble. And I said this earlier on, that this reminds me of having a fragile ego, that when you're wrong, instead of just admitting it like the rest of us can, people have fragile egos. When they feel they're wrong and you call them out on their wrongness, what happens is they feel they're fundamentally wrong. And what fundamentally wrong means, stay hydrated by the way, what fundamentally wrong means is that you can't take being wrong because it means that you yourself are wrong. You feel that you're wrong at the core. The majority of us, when we come out and we say, oh, do you know what, if someone says you're wrong, it doesn't affect our core. We may be wrong about the topic, but we're not wrong about ourselves. But somebody's got a fragile ego. Being wrong in this situation means they are wrong in total. And that's the biggest difference as to why she cannot admit that she's wrong in this situation. Why she has to consistently shift the blame onto him and not take accountability.
Right now, I am not able to sit here and have this conversation that you want to have.
Now, I want you to notice something that she did there, very, very important. When she realized she couldn't win and she didn't have an answer, okay, she's going to switch it now. Right now, but watch the language now, because what she's going to do is a very clever form of manipulation. And this is actually birthed when you're a child, right? These are kind of tactics that you do when you're a child, where you want to shift the blame, deflect, say it wasn't me. But as you get older, it becomes so much more nefarious in the way that you manipulate. Like a child manipulates his father, a daughter manipulates her father with her tears and a cute face and dad, those kind of things, right? Those manipulations that we learn. But when you get older, we are expected to grow out of those things. Otherwise, it becomes nefarious. It means you now know what you're doing. It's calculated and you're intentionally doing it to get out of trouble. And as we're going to see, I'm going to go back slightly. Just go back ever so slightly. I want you to listen to what she does.
Right now, I am not able to sit here and have this conversation that you...
Pause. Look at the body language, what happens. Look at the gesticulation that comes out all of a sudden, right? Right now, I'm not... It's actually a really aggressive, passive-aggressive move. Right now, I'm not able to have this conversation mentally right now that you want to have. Now she's shifting the blame onto him and saying, it's a conversation you want to have. Listen, I'm not mentally in that space, but it's a question you want to have. And again, what it does, it forces the person onto the back foot. It's actually a really aggressive move to do that. Yeah, or passive aggressive, whichever you're looking at it. But it's an aggressive move. That's what she made at that point in time. You shouldn't have to slap him to do that. It's an aggressive move. Once you point your finger at somebody and you shift the blame when the question was directed at you, and instead of answering it, you deflect, that is a clear indication.
You want to have, but I am going to have that conversation with you.
He's stumped because he's like, what the heck is going on? And he's trying to and when you're in the moment, if you haven't dealt with someone like this, it can be very difficult to really analyze what's really going on. Okay, right? So he's going to ask another question. I'm going to fast forward it again just to get to that point now. He's going to ask his second question of the night, which is really important. This is a second question that's going to let you know where she really stands. A no answer is an answer. A deflection is an answer. A lie is an answer. All of these things are answers. The person doesn't have to ask your question directly. The mere fact they're trying to scoot around it is an answer.
Well, I mean, we leave tomorrow, so probably, I don't know, next week, I assume.
So just in case you missed it, I actually went a bit too further forward. He asked a simple question: when are we going to be having this conversation then? Right? Around you saying that you're not ready to, commit to this relationship or so, I'm going to ask you, when are you willing to answer this question around your commitment to this particular process? Right? And her answer is, well, we'll leave tomorrow, so I don't know, maybe next week. Next week, I guess. Let's just go back and you'll see what I'm saying. Let's go back. Let's play from here.
When do you think we'll finally have that conversation?
Well, I mean, we leave tomorrow, so probably, I don't know, next week, I assume.
Probably next week, I assume. That's not listen, darling, you've been putting off this conversation for a little while now. So if I ask you when will we have this conversation, you really should have a time that we're going to have this conversation. Otherwise, it's going to look like you're not ready to have this conversation, and you're willing to shift the goalpost whenever you feel like it and whenever you need. That's the problem. It wasn't a very definitive answer, but the question still stands and remains. When will we have this conversation? And the answer that she gave back was one of not a surety, was one that was not empowering. It was not one that was going to fill you with any kind of confidence. It was not a question that you're looking at going, oh, from that point, we're definitely going to have a conversation next week. She said it. Yeah, we're going to have it. No, it's another question, okay, that she's going to, again, use as an avoidance technique or tactic so that she doesn't have to deal with the actual situation. It's crazy. Really, really crazy. Let's just fast forward it again. I want to get to this point.
On camera. The problem is she will not do it off camera either. When did you quit on it? Tap out. Say.
Pause. This is the third question now. When did you quit? When did you tap out? Now it's a leading question, but when did you tap out? When did you leave? Right now, this should be her response should be like, "Hey, I've not tapped out. I'm still here." Right? Watch how she answers the question.
Not going to happen.
Well, I'm not quitting because I'm here right now. So
On the experiment, and the other people, and the other couples. But I'm talking about me.
Love that. What he picked up on in that moment was, hey, you've already said you're gonna be very clever about this. You've already said you're here for the experiment, you're here for the couples, you're here for the house, but you haven't said about me. So you're not about to get around it by saying, well, I'm here, aren't I? No. Ladies and gentlemen, listen, pay attention, because men too do this. When you're asking them about where they've been or whatever, what they've been doing, or you say that you don't like certain things and say, but I'm here, aren't I? No, but that's not the question I asked you. I asked you a very direct question around Wagwan, X, Y, Z, and you're now telling me, well, I'm here, aren't I? But that's not the question. That was not the question. And that is not proof that you're down for me. Right? It's not proof.
And I'm telling you that I had a chance to leave yesterday, and I did not go.
Are you saying that there's still a potential for this?
Okay.
Love that. He doubled up again and said, listen, hey, I can hear you speaking, but I'm not really hearing what you're actually saying. I mean, you're saying a lot of stuff, but nothing's really coming out. You're saying a lot of stuff, but nothing's really coming out. You're telling me that, okay, I'm here, aren't I? And, I didn't leave the other night. But that's not the question. I'm going to cut through the fluff and get very direct. And this is important because what it does is it corners your opponent, or corners a person, so I should say not opponent, but corners a person. So they have to answer directly. And if they don't answer directly, you've got an answer. If it ain't a yes, it's a no. If it ain't a yes, it's a no.
I think I made it very clear, as did everyone else at the dinner table tonight, that...
Pause. Now moving in with a passive aggressiveness again once more. I told you, just like the people around the table told you, and this is why I said the people around the table are now accountable, because look what she's going to do. We're going to do a separate video for this, don't worry. But look what she's now doing. She's now using the words of friends about, have this conversation behind the scenes. It's not for now. And the question was a very simple one. So now she's using the friends as, well, I told you, I told you like what the friends told you too. I'm not going to give you this answer right now. The friends enabled her so she can say this nonsense.
That is something that I'm not willing to just sit here and give you an answer for, because that wouldn't be fair to me.
I'm not willing to give you a sit here and give you an answer on a simple question like, hey, are you actually down for me? Or are you down for experiment and you're down for the experience? Are you actually down for this marriage? Or are you down for the experience or the experiment? And that's what we're talking about. This particular behavior we're talking about, she's answering your question. If it's not going to be a direct answer, she's telling you what it is. The problem with probably I think Chris may, is that he's trying to if she's not answering, there's a little bit of hope. No, there is no hope, because she should answer it straight. It's been a few days. She should answer it straight, and she can't. That should let you know she's not available. She's emotionally devoid at the moment and emotionally disconnected from this process. That simple. She's here for friends, fun, and that's it.
I understand that you're frustrated, but like I'm also frustrated. And I think you need to remember that we're both in the same situation.
Now she's trying to flip it onto him by saying, and talking in this very calm voice, trying to make it as if, I'm level-headed here, darling. Your level-headedness energy that you're bringing doesn't fool any of us. And again, you're trying to blame him for the situation that you're in, when you need to take accountability for the fact that you are just not feeling him. If you're not wanting him, how hard is it to say that you're not feeling him? Unless you've got ulterior motives and trying to keep him there.
Right now, right?
I don't think we're both in the same situation.
Okay.
And that's the thing. He said it correctly. We're not in the same situation. We're not. We're not in the same situation, because you are not being honest about what you actually want. You're not being honest about what you actually need. And therefore, it was not long ago, she was cussing him, saying you're a yes man. Didn't want to go on dates with him. You know what I mean? And now, all of a sudden, let me just go and play the clip, man.
And therefore have no interest in trying. And then if you want the apartment for 2 months, knock yourself out.
Notice what he said there? He said, listen, hey, if you're not interested in me, you don't want this, listen, you just have the flat for 2 months. You can have it. I don't need to be a part of it. You can have it. I came here for a marriage. You can have it. Let's see what her response is. Because remember, you're not saying that you want him, but you're talking about in subtleties that you want this house. Let's see what she does.
I'm in this because I was looking for somebody to spend the rest of my life with.
Correct, as was I.
Fair. And therefore, I'm going to act accordingly, unless you can tell.
So, again, he mentioned about the fact that, listen, you know what? I'm going to act accordingly because I'm here for the right reasons. She says, I'm in it for the right reasons too. All right, cool. Now, what's going to happen next is he's going to ask another last kind of question as well. Or, well, I say kind of question, but it's less of a question, more of a statement that he's going to make, right? And that's going to force her to answer once again. And when she's under pressure, what does she do?
Tell me that there's any sliver of a chance.
But I'm going to stop you because I'm not going to tell you that right now.
If you're...
That's your answer. You were about to ask her a similar question about what her stance is in regards to the fact that, okay, if you want to stay in an apartment, what is your feeling and sentiment towards me? I'm not going to answer that. When will you answer, darling? And why are we delaying it? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. If you like him, say it. If you don't like him, say it. And let's move on. But it sounds like you just want a free holiday. It sounds like you ain't really down for him. It sounds like you really aren't about it.
not going to tell me that
I'm not
after the
going to
amount
tell
of
you
time
right
that
now.
we've spent together.
I have already told you, and it's not fair or respectful that you keep asking.
Now she's trying to flip it again once more, that it's not fair, it's not respectful that you keep asking me for an answer in regards to this question. He's not... How much time do you need? We're already 5 days or so or more into the process, and we already got this attitude and this behavior and this separation from yourself. Why do I need to wait another week? Why do I need to wait till we get into the house? Why do I need... You're already proposing that someone have the house for a month, and another person have it for a month. That should let you know where your mindset is. If you want to have it for a month and I have it for a month, we can tell where your mindset is. It's not in the right place. It's not in the right place. Your mindset's in the house. Your mindset's in this crucial time of experience that you keep talking about. It's not here for the marriage.
Asking me the same thing when I'm telling you I cannot sit here and tell you that answer right now. And I don't like it when you continuously try to...
Now here it comes. Now she's going to try and flip the tables onto him and try to say, like, when you continually ask me this and you get in my face about it and you become aggressive about it. She's bringing Cameron vibes right now. She's perfect at playing victimhood. This thing, nobody would have cussed her if she just said from the beginning, I'm not feeling him. I'm sorry. I like physical features and I'm not interested. That would have been fine. Would have said, listen, I get it. But the way you're treating him after the fact that you know that you don't fancy him is where we all have a problem, and where we're all looking at you like, girl, what you're doing is wrong. And you can't even see that. That's a lack of self-awareness. That is a lack of introspectiveness. That is a lack of empathy that you're exercising in this moment. But you already knew that. Listen, I'm going to leave it there, man. Like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of uploads. We appreciate you guys. Stay locked, stay loaded.
Never blind.